I listen on the app.
Stay up to date around the clock.
I listen, therefore I know.
Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
It is TNT, and I'm always looking forward to this segment because it tells me more than I need to know about technology, all those things that I have no clue about. Alex explains it so well, so it gets us all on the track. He is of course, the founder and also convener of a fabulous website called TNTRadio.live. He doesn't just run ads for tech firms with their new devices. He analyses what's happening in the tech world, which is why we have him on the program. Alex Zaharoff-Reutt, have you got jet lag coming back from San Francisco?
A little bit, yeah. I didn't get much sleep on the plane last night, and I'm waiting until tonight so I can have a proper sleep and then get back into the rhythm of things. But all good. I'm very excited to be here. Great to join you. And all
so what do you
listeners.
do if you're on long flights, if you're travelling from, say, America to Australia or vice versa? Do you have a plan to get to sleep, or you don't?
Look, I try and sleep a little bit on the plane. I do actually have some valerian root tablets, which actually help you sleep, and I've tried them on the plane, and they do work. I mean, they can help you if you get to the other country and you want to go to sleep without actually having Ambien or some of these medical drugs that sort of really zonk you out. But otherwise, you just wait until nighttime and you just have a really good sleep, and the next morning you wake up and, if you're youthful enough, then you recover quickly. Otherwise, you might take a couple of days.
All right, you're in San Fran where you attended the AMD Advancing AI event. What were the big announcements?
Sure. Well, they had a new processor for desktop computers, for your Windows notebooks. They launched earlier this year the 7040, which is a chip for notebook computers, and they've now got the 8040, second generation AI brain. They've got a new chip for supercomputers that power the likes of the ChatGPT, and they have a competition for developers to create some of these incredible apps that can take full advantage of all of the AI smarts that are now built into all of AMD's, latest computers.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of AI. We want to talk about AI a little bit later, but I think most computer users glaze over when they hear about the performance of chips. It's certainly beyond my comprehension. But what's the big deal with the new Ryzen 840 chip for laptops?
Yes. The Ryzen, like Rise and Shine, is their brand of chip. And when they launched them about 5 or 6 years ago, they blew away the world because they were a lot more powerful and more dynamic, and they had more cores and more power basically than Intel. Intel had been coasting along for more or less a decade and not really trying very hard. And AMD came along and really upped the ante. But what they've done is exactly the same. They've been upping the ante ever since. And so early this year, they launched the first chip for Windows computers that had an AI brain. Now, every smartphone, every tablet has a thing called a neural engine inside the chip, and that's where your phone can automatically sort out all the photos in your photo library based on what the faces are, what pets you have, or it can cut out the background noise when you're on a busy street. People could just hear your voice. There's many different things that AI can do. They even used AI recently, for example, with the Beatles song, where they took John Lennon's voice off a cassette that had all the audio, and they couldn't do it before. With AI, they could isolate his voice. And so having a Windows computer that has the AI chip inside means that Microsoft Windows 11, for example, has a built-in AI co-pilot. And this means that when it's doing all that AI stuff, it's not chewing up the cycles of the main chip and all the graphics. It's got this separate brain that's doing all that work. And a lot of programs, the Adobe Photoshops and lots of different programs are now using these AI features. And if you don't have an AI brain, you're slowing the rest of the computer down. So AMD, within the same year they launched the first generation, they've just launched the second generation, and they'll be on the market in the first quarter of next year. And so if you're looking to buy a computer, Intel says they're going to launch AI in all their chips, but they haven't launched a single one yet. AMD's already on their second generation, which is just showing how fast they're going.
Yeah. Now, just in terms of giving people an idea of how fast chips are developing, the new M1300X chip for advanced AI supercomputers is almost twice as good as the chip that powered ChatGPT. Am I right?
That's right. Yes, the Nvidia H100 is the chip that is sold for between $25,000 $30,000 and $40,000 US dollars per chip. And inside of the supercomputers that power ChatGPT, there can be dozens to hundreds of these chips. And so Nvidia has reached $1 trillion valuation this year based on the fact that they have the chip that has been powering this revolution. Wow. But AMD has actually been working on its chips for a long time too. And in fact, people like Facebook and Microsoft and others are all, even OpenAI, want to develop their own chips. But AMD has been working on chips for more than 50 years, like Intel. And this new MI300X chip is nearly twice as fast as the H100 at a lower price. And if I have a look here, there's Microsoft is going to use it. Meta, which is Facebook, they're going to use it. Oracle, the largest data center infrastructure providers, are planning to use this chip. Specialized AI cloud providers. So AMD has now got the most powerful chip for AI in the business. And obviously they're going out full board to let everyone know that they've got it, and they're expecting a lot of orders, and it's going to push the AI revolution forward, even faster.
Now, I could imagine there would be millions of startups out there, millions of nerds, computer nerds, who are trying to develop their own apps with AI as their foundation. There's a new competition in this space, is there?
Yeah, well, AMD, of course, having so much AI potential and smarts and hardware and also software, they have software platforms that help developers to do this. So they're saying push the boundaries of AI. They have a developer contest, and they are inviting developers to, really show their stuff and come up with the killer apps that are going to be something that everyone is going to want to use and download, and to add AI features to various apps. And we're going to talk in a moment about some of the things that Google has done for their Pixel phone. They've been infusing AI. So this is a push to get the developers really getting their juices flowing. And so this competition is out there. And when I was at the event, I was saying you should also have some sort of a competition for consumers. Just like in the 50s, they asked school kids, what do you think life will be like in the year 2000? Well, find out from consumers what they wish their computers could do with all these magical AI superpowers. And so, look, they said, well, we should have you on our marketing team. I don't know if they're going to do anything about it, but certainly they're working with the developers, who are the ones who write the apps and the programs that we download and use on our phones and tablets and computers every day. So they're doing everything they can to accelerate the AI.
I think you'd make a good marketing consultant, Alex.
Me too.
Apple. All right, here we go. Apple has launched a new operating system update. It's got some bug fixes, some security fixes, but also some new features.
Yes, so if you've got an iPhone, an iPad, an Apple Watch, a Mac, a HomePod, an Apple TV, updates are there. So you're talking about iOS and iPadOS 17.2. And look, my website has all the details and all the version numbers. But if you're an iPhone user, all the way back to the iPhone XR and all the way up to the iPhone 15, there's a new app called Journal. So Journal is where you can journal your gratitude for amazing things that have happened in your life. You can take notes and add videos, and you can have this sort of journal that is almost like a diary, personalized diary. This was announced at the Worldwide Developer Conference middle of this year, and it's finally just been launched in the last week. There's also the action button on the side of the iPhone 15 Pro and Max. You can also now add a translation button, so it can be a live translation for you. The camera on the iPhone 15 range, you've got two. I'm looking at the back of my camera right now as I'm speaking to you, and there's 3 lenses there, and the iPhone can use both lenses at the same time to capture 3D photos and videos. And when you've got the headset, the Apple Vision Pro headset that's coming in the first quarter of next year, and they already showed what some of this video looks like, although you really don't understand it until you put it on. But it's unlike any 3D. It's not like the 3D from 3D TVs. You actually feel like you're in the space. It's the closest thing to recording actually being there. So they've launched the update so that if you've got an iPhone 15 and you start taking photos and videos, when you do eventually get Apple Vision Pro headset or one of the other headsets that will presumably copy this feature, you will already have a whole suite of photos and videos. And look, there's plenty of other things with messages. On the watch, you can now swipe through the different watch faces. They took that away. They brought it back. There's bug fixes and updates. Check it all out at techadvice.live to see all the details.
Fantastic. Let's go over to Google now. They've been busy as well and have released their new Pixel feature for Christmas, which promises to make recent Pixel smartphones even better, newer.
Yes, yes. Well, just as Apple launches new features for their smartphones, so does Google. And so Google has a thing called a feature drop. And every few months they come out with one. So the December one came out 7 days ago. Now, unlike with Apple, where everybody can download the new update at once, this will roll out over a few weeks. My update only came today. It's been available for the last 7 days. But you will now have a thing called Gemini Nano. So this is like ChatGPT built into the phone itself. So it doesn't have to go to the internet to get information for you. Google has 3 versions of this Gemini, one Ultra for huge computer systems, and this Nano that lives on your phone. But there's plenty more features. Let me just quickly go through them. So if you take voice recorder notes and it's automatically transcribing that, it can summarize the meeting you were just part of and recording for the last hour. It can actually not only give you the text, but give you a summary. You've got a smart reply capability when you're typing on the keyboard. You've got videos that are not shaky anymore. It can unblur videos in the cloud. It can make the shaky videos nice and smooth again. You've got time lapse that you can record after dark. If you're recording videos at nighttime, it can brighten them up for you as though it's almost like it's daylight. So that's another feature. As I said before, the photo unblurring. You've got high quality video calls from your computer. So every Pixel smartphone down to the Pixel 5a, which is 3 years old, you can now plug it in to your computer and use it as a webcam, much better than the webcam that's built into your computer. I'm talking through my iPhone's webcam, the iPhone camera on the back, which is much better than the one on my Mac. You can also, if you take scans of receipts, or you've got a document that's got like a pet's dirty paw mark, you can just wipe your finger over the paw mark and you can just erase it. So you can take scans of things and erase copy stains on receipts. Yeah, and all sorts of little things. I mean, there's plenty more features there. I've got the link, and there's a video that shows you all the different features. But look, other companies do this too. Other companies also release feature updates. But Google Pixel now has a lot of users, and if you're a Pixel user, there's an update for you, and there's tons of new little features that make your phone feel new again.
I always wonder what people are searching for on Google. Now, Google has actually released the top search results for 2023. Are you able to give us a very mini world search of those searches?
Yes. Now, on Google's trends page, they've got actually trends for pretty much every country in the world. But for Australia, the top 5 news events were the Optus outage, the war in Israel and Gaza, referendum results, Andrew Tate, and the earthquake in Melbourne.
Andrew Tate in Australia?
Tate, yeah, according to Google, and they would know because they're doing the majority of the world's searches. They've got a list of top Aussies, list of people we lost during 2023, top movies like Oppenheimer and Barbie, top recipes, top sports. Now, that's for Australia. In the US, it's the war in Israel and Gaza. The Titanic submarine was number 2 for news. Hurricane Hillary, number 3. Hurricane Idalia and Hurricane Lee. And then for the UK, the top celebrities were Hugh Edwards, the BBC newsreader who was involved in a scandal. Philip Schofield, also involved in a scandal. Russell Brand, also involved in a scandal.
That's
Andrew
interesting.
Tate.
So hang on. That tells us that the UK, the Brits, love their gossip and love their scandal.
I think they do, yeah, according to the trends. And it's all there. You can have a look. If you're from a different country, come to my site, click on the article about the Google Trends and search for your country. And there's also a video that shows the top 25 trends from the past 25 years. So there's a little short video that goes through that. And obviously it's a time capsule of all sorts of interesting things you'll remember if you've been alive and, you've been an adult for the past 25 years. But yeah, always interesting to see what people are searching for and where, and it gives you an extra insight into people and the world.
Yeah, that is really interesting because I'm just looking at the list involving what's been Googled most in the United States. It seems to be disasters that predominate, and then you've got gossip in the UK and then something different in Australia. We are different people despite our allegiances and our similarities. It's extraordinary.
Absolutely. Long may the differences continue.
Yeah, I've got to take a quick break. We'll come back, Alex, in just a second, talking about scams and other issues in the cyber world right after this on TNT Radio.
Give me a minute with TNT Radio's Steve Malzberg.
The latest leftist attacks against Donald Trump claim he's going to be a dictator in a second Trump administration. And Chris Wallace on CNN playing along put the question to Reihan Salam of National Review.
So Reihan, Is Donald Trump a dictator in waiting, or is he just playing one?
Well, look, what he was saying in that moment is something very similar to what Barack Obama said back in 2014. At his first cabinet meeting, he said, I've got a pen and I've got a phone. And what he meant by that is that if Congress does not do what I want them to do, I can sign executive actions and I can use my phone to rally outside groups to create pressure on Congress to get things done.
And this is what he was just referring to.
I'm going to be working with Congress where I can to accomplish this. But I'm also going to act on my own if Congress is deadlocked. I've got a pen to take executive actions where Congress won't, and I've got a telephone to rally folks around the country on this mission.
Executive orders, rallying people via the phone, sounds a little dictatorial to me. Context and perspective. They are fake news killers. Thanks for giving me a minute. I'm Steve Malzberg. Catch my show Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on TNT Radio Vision.
What do I love about riding? It's the thrill, the excitement. Riding gives me a sense of freedom. I feel so connected to the road. Riding is like therapy to me. It makes me feel alive. Love riding? Back off.
Thanks for listening and being a part of the Chris Smith Show on today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
I've got Alex Zaharoff-Reutt with us from ACCC.live. Experts at a Scams Awareness have used AI to reimagine songs, but with a message to help you avoid being a victim. Please explain this.
Well, look, if you ever want your kids to learn a poem, it's obviously something that, they don't want to do it. But if you ask them to spout the lyrics of whatever the hit song is, kids know it. So obviously having music and having, catchy lyrics can help people to remember things. And so it's obviously the season to be savvy. And the experts at scams.info have put together some AI rewritten Christmas songs. So they've rewritten All I Want for Christmas from Mariah Carey. They've rewritten another song called Hark the Savvy Shoppers Sing, which was from Hark the Herald Angels Sing. They've rewritten
Hang on. I don't want to know a list. I want to know whether you can sing one of these songs.
Well, here we go. Silent night, secure online. All is calm, protect thy sign. Round yon passwords, keep them tight. Holy cyber, avoid the fight. Sleep in scam-free peace. Sleep in scam-free peace. And it goes on and on. And
I want the job at this scam awareness site where you actually sit down and write this stuff.
Well, AI wrote it. You see, they got AI to rewrite it, so they didn't even do it. They got some ChatGPT to do it, which is what you can do these days. I mean, I shouldn't get it to write a poem about TNT Radio or about Chris Smith or about see what it comes up with.
I like the idea of that. Now, on the topic of scams, the Global Consumer Alliance is urging governments worldwide to require tech companies to protect people from scams. 9 out of 10 Aussies are supportive of strong penalties, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is, again, part of the choice, consumer advocate people in Australia. They've joined over 20 consumer groups from 19 countries in a joint international statement calling on governments to require social media and other tech companies to implement stronger protections against the growing risk of online scams. And look, we know that people like David Kochie, a famous Australian TV presenter, all sorts of famous people, Dick Smith, another Australian famous explorer, but I'm sure it would be the same in the US and the UK. You see pictures of them beaten up or had some sort of accident, and it's a scam to try and sell you cryptocurrency or something else. And scams arrive, scams are everywhere, and the search engines and the social media platforms are making money from these scams. They could block them, and they're not doing it. And that's why there's this call from governments and from consumer organizations to clamp down on the social media networks. I mean, we don't want to clamp down on free speech, but we don't want to be scammed royally either.
If it is blatant scamming and it's got nothing to do with free speech, I'm all for it.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And look, this is why this movement has sprung up, and not enough is being done. So, I wish them success.
Yeah. With the ACCC having fined major car companies last week for breaches surrounding proper warnings for button batteries used in car fob remote controls, we really should be careful with battery-powered toys this Christmas, right?
Absolutely. You've got those little button batteries in all sorts of Christmas lights. And look, the batteries are supposed to be sealed now. You can't just buy them so easily. They're double sealed. You've got to use scissors to cut them out. But they can be in different toys and games. And young kids, if they swallow them, they can burn through their esophagus and they can end up with years of problems. And it also harks back to the ACCC's warning that we spoke about a few weeks ago, where if you've got older batteries and older devices that are starting to expand, if you've got an e-scooter, for example, whatever you do, don't charge it inside the house. People have had the batteries explode because those e-scooters and toys can be treated roughly. If the batteries get damaged, they can explode, they can put poisonous gases. People have died. And so you've got to be very careful with batteries. We will eventually one day have much safer battery technology, but we don't live in that reality at the moment.
No.
And so be careful about button batteries, about lithium batteries. Treat them carefully and safely, and make sure you charge, electric scooters and things outside. So if there is a fire, it doesn't burn your whole house down.
All right. Now, I'm warning our listeners not to get scared by this, but there's a fresh piece of news out today that the world's first supercomputer capable of brain-scale simulation is being built in Australia. Tell me more.
Yes, this has come from the University of Western Sydney. I've got a link to it on my site, and they've got this great picture of this sort of neural brain with this giant computer called Deep South, which reminds me of Deep Thought, the computer from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
This is claimed to be the world's first supercomputer capable of simulating networks at the scale of the human brain, and it's got a neuromorphic system which mimics biological processes, utilizing hardware to efficiently emulate large networks of spiking neurons at 228 trillion synaptic operations per second, which is rivaling the estimated rate of operations of the human brain. And they say what sets this apart from other supercomputers is that it's purpose-built to operate like networks of neurons, which we have in our brains, requiring less power and enabling greater efficiencies. And this contrasts, they say, with supercomputers optimized for more traditional computing loads, which are usually more power hungry. So again, it's like that hockey stick that Al Gore spoke about, but instead of the exponential growth in global climate disasters, which are all hoaxes and nonsense, as Joe Bastardi likes to tell us on TNT Radio, we are seeing this exponential growth in technology, and all the sci-fi things I dreamt about and read about as a kid, they're all coming true.
Yeah, you're not wrong. NBN is crowing about its extended reach.
Yes, they are talking about millions more Aussies are ready for 18 times faster NBN. Now, 18 times faster is compared against the 50 megabit speeds that many people have. This will take you to about 900 megabits, which is around about a gigabit. So that's 1,000 megabits. Now, in the old days when we had ADSL, and they were talking about broadband, it was less than 1 megabit. And look, in places like Hong Kong and Japan, they've got 1 gigabit, 2 gigabits. We now finally, after many years, have something similar. And Google is even talking about 20 gigabits. So, the internet's getting faster and faster, but 3 million homes and businesses can now get the fiber connected all the way to their premises, which is what the Labor government originally wanted to do, but was too expensive for the Liberal Party to put into place. This means that, many more millions of people are going to get access to the fastest speeds possible. An additional 400,000 homes and businesses have been announced as part of this program. And there's, if you go to the NBN website, and I'll have it on my website later on, there's a bunch of different suburbs that can get it. You will have to pay more to get this faster speed, but your uploads and downloads, your backups to the cloud, all the updates that come through, movies you download, everything will be happening so much faster. And it's the upgrade we need to keep us competitive in the 21st century.
One last one before we let you go. I've run out of time. Samsung is spending 700 million euros to build an advanced semiconductor research plant in the Netherlands. What's the technology connection between South Korea and the Dutch?
Well, there's a Dutch tech giant called ASML, and so they're very big with semiconductors. And of course, Samsung makes a lot of chips for their own phones and for other people. And I think they're making the chips for Google as well in their smartphones. So there's a great synergy between the two of them. They're both technological powerhouses. You probably didn't realize that the Netherlands was a tech powerhouse, but they are. This company is. And the deal was announced by the South Korean president, and as part of a trip, his day one of his trip to the Netherlands. So look, it's companies working together. I mean, we had Huawei opening a factory in France. So you've got, Korean and even Chinese companies moving their factories out of China. So it's great sort of, making sure that technology is available all over the world, not concentrated into one place. And Samsung is just hedging its bets and working with, partners that are on the same wavelength.
Do you think that they learnt through the pandemic that you can't have your eggs in the one basket?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all countries. Why Australia used to have a great manufacturing base. So did the US. The UK was a nation of shopkeepers. Now we're all just consumers. We need to start making things again all over the world, so that we're not beholden to any one country or any one philosophy. And these are signs that is happening.
Yeah, great stuff. Alex, I've got to run. Thank you so much for that massive terabit of information.
Absolutely. I'll see you next week. Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. TechAdvice.live is his website, TechAdvice.live. Alex Zaharoff-Reutt. We always love having him on the program. Very briefly, from the Daily Mail, a fly-in, fly-out worker, a FIFO worker, has broken down the ludicrous amount of money he's been able to earn by working in the mines in Australia. And I know people around the world travel to Australia to work in mines, away from their family, away from their friends, stuck down a mine, but it's big money. Cal McElwain, an Irishman on a working holiday visa, has saved $45,000 in 4.5 months since getting a job in the Pilbara region in WA. Mr. McElwain admitted there were many cons to the job, such as isolation, but ultimately decided it was worth it given how much money he was able to make. He flagged one major downside, revealing workers typically pull more than double the average work hours in a week, indicating the job was not for the faint-hearted. There's a video of him on Daily Mail. You can watch him tell you what he earns. As a newbie, Mr. McElwain was initially put on a starting salary of $33.50 per hour, which Mr. McElwain said was easy to save since companies provide meals and accommodation for workers during their stay. That's all covered. It's obviously very hard, he says. You're working long hours. It's dirty work in the heat, but you're also getting paid a lot. He revealed that he gets $3,470 in the first week because the Monday is spent travelling to the Pilbara, and $3,944 for the second and third week since he can work every day, which means Monday alone is worth $474. Workers get paid differently depending if they are permanent or they're on a contract, and if they're on a flat rate or an hourly rate. An hourly rate provides workers with penalties like double pay on a Sunday, while a flat rate just pays them a fixed $60 per hour without penalties. But he's enjoying himself. He's enjoying the camaraderie, and he should be happy where he is in the Pilbara of WA. I've got to run. This is Chris Smith on TNT Radio.
The voice of a changing world. Chris Smith on today's News Talk Radio, TNT. You should hear what Ross Cameron is talking about.
I see there's a new trend taking place, sweeping the internet, of what they're calling sort of technology naked walks, where you go for a walk without your iPhone, without a headset, and just alone with your thoughts. Apparently some people are finding it quite emotionally taxing, but subsequently liberating. Certainly I find if I get into a motor vehicle with a teenager, it's a matter of seconds before there is a request for usually the latest Taylor Swift song or some other form of electronic stimulus. We are a generation apparently trained for a very short concentration span and a desperate need for digital company.
Ross Cameron on today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
When you can point me to an industry, to a platform that reaches 250 million people a month, virtually 9 out of 10 Americans, that's real, that's substantive, that's important. And that reach and that touch point and that daily reinforcement It's an amazing place to be able to communicate messages. That's massive.
To find out more, go to TNTRadio.live.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Today's News Talk.
News and information.
TNT Radio. To hear a replay of this hour, go to episodes at TNTRadio.live. Now, TNT Radio News.
With your hourly news brief, I'm Matt Boyland.